I didn't notice the first change. That's the thing about changes that arrive one at a time, you absorb each one without registering it as a data point, because a data point requires a pattern and a pattern requires more than one thing. I absorbed the new haircut, the new gym schedule, and the new cologne as 3 separate and unrelated facts, spread across 6 weeks, and I moved through those weeks the way you move through a house you've lived in for years, without looking too carefully at anything. We were 3 years in at that point. 3 years builds a specific kind of familiarity, the kind where you stop interrogating the details of a shared life because the details have become furniture, reliable and unchanging. You notice when furniture moves. You don't always notice why. The haircut was first. He'd always worn his hair the same way since I'd known him, a relaxed, low-maintenance style that fit his general approach to most things. One day he came home with something different. Shorter on the sides, more deliberately shaped on top. It looked good. I told him it looked good and he thanked me and I thought nothing further about it. The gym schedule was 2 weeks after the haircut. He'd always had a casual relationship with exercise, the occasional weekend run, a gym membership he used sporadically when he felt guilty about it. Suddenly there was a schedule. Mornings, 3 times a week, non-negotiable. He started coming home with the flushed look of someone who had genuinely worked hard. He talked about progress, measurements, a routine. I was supportive. I found it easy to be supportive because I had not yet understood what I was looking at. The cologne was the third change, and it arrived quietly. One morning I noticed a scent on him that wasn't the one I'd given him for his birthday 2 years ago, the one that had become simply his smell in my mind. I asked about it. He said he'd found it on sale somewhere, tried it, liked it. He mentioned the store. He mentioned the price. His answer was specific enough to seem like a real answer, which in retrospect was exactly the problem. People who are telling the truth tend to answer questions without packaging the answer. They say I found it and leave it there. They don't add the store and the price in the same breath unless they've anticipated the question. I stood there for a moment after he answered and I let the answer sit. I didn't examine it openly, I put it down gently, as if I were setting a glass on a surface I wasn't sure was stable, and I moved on. But the note was made. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a tally had begun without my having authorized it. I noticed the specificity. I filed it. I didn't do anything with it yet. The clothes started appearing around week 4. Not a lot, a shirt here, a different pair of trousers, a jacket I hadn't seen before. He mentioned none of them. I found them in the closet one by one, hanging among the familiar things, slightly newer and slightly more considered than his usual choices. Not expensive, not showy. Just slightly elevated. The kind of dressing up that doesn't announce itself. I want to be specific about this, none of these things, seen individually, would have troubled me. A man buys a new shirt. A man gets a haircut. A man starts going to the gym. Any one of these in isolation is ordinary, the stuff of a Tuesday, not a revelation. The trouble was the accumulation. The trouble was that I had been, without consciously deciding to, counting. 6 weeks after the haircut, I sat down and did something I should have done sooner. I looked at all 4 things at the same time. Haircut. Gym. Cologne. Clothes. All in the same 6-week period. All pointing in the same direction. All involving the self that he was presenting to the world outside our apartment. I thought about the principle, which I'd known for a long time but had not applied to this situation until now. People do not reinvent themselves for themselves. A person who is content with their life and their relationships does not simultaneously change their hair and their scent and their wardrobe and their fitness routine without a reason. The reason is almost always an audience. Someone for whom the self is being revised and improved and displayed. I thought about who the audience might be. I thought about whether there were any new people in his professional or personal life. A new colleague, recently mentioned a handful of times, described in offhand complimentary terms. I'd registered the name without attaching weight to it. I attached weight to it now. I started paying attention to how he talked about work. There's a particular energy that people have when they're mentioning someone they're attracted to, a studied casualness, a way of saying the name as though the name is ordinary when it isn't. I listened for that energy and I found it. Not every day, but enough times to be significant. I should say what I mean by studied casualness, because it's a specific thing that I think people recognize when they hear it described. It's not nervousness. It's not overemphasis. It's the quality of someone who has thought about how to mention something in passing and has worked out the tone in advance, a relaxedness that is slightly too consistent, slightly too even, because real casualness varies. Real casualness doesn't rehearse itself. I didn't say anything immediately. I let 2 more weeks pass. I watched. The gym schedule held. The cologne remained different. The new clothes kept appearing. The studied casualness when the name came up in conversation held too, present, consistent, unmistakable once I knew to listen for it. On a Wednesday evening, I made dinner and poured wine and we sat at the table and I asked, directly and without preamble, "Is there someone at work you're interested in?" He went very still. Not a dramatic stillness, just the quiet of a person recalibrating. He said, "Why would you think that?" I said, "Because in the past 6 weeks you've changed your hair, your cologne, your gym routine, and the way you dress. And because you mention her name with a particular kind of casualness that isn't actually casual." I watched him as I said it. I'd had 2 weeks to organize these observations into sentences, and the sentences came out evenly, without accusation in the tone, just stated facts laid on the table for examination. I had not wanted the conversation to become a fight. I had wanted it to be what it needed to be, a naming, a direct question, an invitation for honesty. He was quiet for a moment. Then he asked how long I'd been thinking about this. I said 2 weeks. He said he was sorry, which is not the same as saying nothing was happening, and he didn't say nothing was happening. We talked for a long time that night. The conversation was honest in a way that conversations sometimes become when the pretense has been removed from the room. I learned what I needed to learn. I made the decisions I needed to make. None of it was easy and all of it was necessary. Here is what I think about now. When I think about those 6 weeks, he had been changing himself one piece at a time, thinking that if each change was small enough it would blend into the ordinary rhythm of a shared life. And he wasn't wrong that each change was small. He was wrong that I wasn't paying attention. The conversation that Wednesday evening lasted 2 hours. We sat at the table we ate at every night and we talked with the kind of honesty that is only possible when the pretense has been removed from the room. He was relieved to have been asked directly, I could see that, and I didn't resent it, because asking directly had been a choice I'd made for myself, not for him. I wanted the direct conversation. I wanted to know the actual shape of things. The actual shape of things was complicated and it was hard and it was also, in some ways, less dramatic than I'd feared. The months that followed the conversation were difficult. But they were real. I prefer real to managed. I always have. I was paying attention. I'm always paying attention. I just hadn't organized what I was seeing into a shape yet. Once I organized it, it was unmistakable. People don't reinvent themselves for themselves. Remember that. If you've ever watched someone you loved gradually become someone new without explanation, drop it in the comments. Subscribe. New story every week.